What's up, everyone? Kijino Kami here with...
Kralika Kane.
And on his birthday...
Silver Quill. They won't even give me the night off.
Nope. No.
I'm kidding.
We're talking about Japanese shows. You think they get the day off for their birthdays when they work? No.
No, they don't even get to sleep.
Exactly. And in some point in Japan, they'll make these devices that will take away their need to sleep. Remember that Doctor Who episode?
Oh, yeah. Mostly I'm thinking of that James Bond villain with the dream machine. The dream machine keeps me sane, but not sane enough to say no to this movie.
Just watch Moonraker.
I did. It broke me. And unfortunately, our friend Chrysalis Bloodborne is not here to talk about Octopussy.
All I'm thinking is right now I'm just hearing him shiver for some reason. He doesn't know why. He's like, ugh.
But I expect my phone to go off and is just ranting at me. Why would you name your child like that? It's like, you have good ears. You bet I do.
So we are here to talk about Donbrothers, episodes 35 to 39.
Donbrothers.
You make
it can
it
get so confusing.
You make it sound like a short period, 35 to 39. Only sounds like 4 episodes.
But oh my goodness, all the stuff that happens in those episodes.
Oh my god.
I gotta say, at some points when we hit the eye catch, it was like, wait, we're only halfway through?
And there's been how much story?
Good lord, I'm not used to this story in Sentai.
Oh, it's so nice, and this show is weird and in a good way.
It is certainly the most unique Sentai series I've seen.
And it's certainly a unique Sentai series in a long time. I mean, it really does feel like the weirdness of the 80s and 90s episodes. So, first we've got the last episode that we had talked about ended with Tsuyoshi getting Inuzaki, right? Arrested, wanting the reward money, but mostly he just wanted revenge for...
Taking his wife.
Yep. And so we've got Inuzaki in jail, which then he gets interrogated by Haruka's...
Aunt.
Yeah, aunt. Who's all like...
Wait, aunt or aunt?
Aunt.
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 It's aunt.
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 It's aunt. Aunt
Aunt.
is A-N-T. Aunt is A-U-N-T.
Both are pronounced the same. Yes, they're spelled differently and they have different meanings, but they're both the same pronunciation.
You know, it's kind of funny when
I have an aunt, not an aunt.
Well, I don't have any anymore.
Well, that's depressing. Thank you.
You know, it's funny, if I'm talking to a person who is my aunt, I will say aunt so-and-so, but on its own, the title, I say aunt.
Yes. But nevertheless, we can go around in circles.
Thanks for another meeting of the Pronunciation Club. Have a good night.
But so we've got Haruka's aunt who's there like, I know he's a good guy. Oh, I can tell he's a good guy.
He's so hot.
There's good and there's bad kidnappers. He's a good one.
No, it's suspects.
Suspects, yeah. So, but what I have to say about this episode is that every time that Kijino is on screen, he is stealing the show.
Oh, he is fantastic.
1,000%.
He is incredible.
Like, I honestly do feel bad because it is a very tragic situation. His wife that he's been with for a year has now disappeared, reappeared, but she goes by Natsume.
And it's not married you, is what it is.
And yeah, so he sees her and starts running up to her, and to her, he's just some creeper.
And you know it's fiction because a police officer's right there and helps without any issue.
No,
yeah, he doesn't run away in fear.
But what I loved about this particular episode to start is you have the four of the Donbrothers in the cafe, and everybody's just talking, and Kijino just goes off on all of them.
I love when you have all this text showing up, and then when it goes behind him, you see all 3 spots of text still there.
And Saru brother, I'm not great with names.
Sarugawa or something?
Well, the professor,
Yeah.
he says, as expected, the most criticism came my way.
Well, okay. The criticism, at least about, you're always having lunch here, but you have no money. Are you just planning to continue paying with haikus? There is some legitimacy there.
I mean, we'd all like to be able to skirt by on that.
And then, so, Kijino gets arrested, goes into the jail cell with Inuzaka.
Which, honestly, that just as we have a police officer who saves the day for this poor woman in distress, now we have idiots in the police station who say, hey, let's put this guy in the same cell as the person he betrayed.
Well, they wouldn't know that.
Oh, come on, they'd have to have some sort of reference.
And then it gets even better. We now have this subplot that has been developed that the police know about Beastials.
Yeah, that was interesting when they take Inu, because they're like, yeah, so we think she's a Beastial. It was like, wait, they know about the Beastials?
Well, because the aunt got captured in an episode that still gave me Stockholm Syndrome for the kidnappers.
Oh my God.
I wanted them to kidnap me.
I know! They were the greatest kidnappers in history. They fed you. They gave you back rubs. They gave you reading materials.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, there's this really bad movie on Amazon about a guy who kidnaps a woman to fall in love with him. 385 is the title.
I was going to say Beauty and the Beast.
No, this is a much worse version of that. But the 385 movie should take notes from these kidnapping guys in Sentai who lay out a fine banquet and give a back massage. That's how you're going to win them over.
But so we learn all about what they have found out about Beastials. Which is more than even I think the audience really has. Like, all of the Beastials that you see are eccentric human beings. So, artsy sorts. Or with the detective, it seems like very
hyper-focus.
So, people who are very different than the norm.
Well, people that also have different personalities from how they were before they disappeared.
Well, yes.
Because as we find out that they're in the alternate world, unconscious, well, the Beastio has taken their form.
Hanging up by a vine, which I gotta say, after a while, wouldn't your arms break? What am I saying now? We'll get to breaking arms and legs shortly.
Well, so then we get into the next episode.
Well, hold on, because we got Inu gets captured.
Yes. And so we see
his replacement at the end.
Well, and it was interesting because so before he gets captured, he sees Natsume trying to eat someone
one of the extra. What do they call those henchmen? The foot soldiers?
Oni.
Oni. Oh yeah. Oh, and Ani.
Yeah, Oni. But Oni.
Yeah.
So, and we have a battle between Natsume and the detective because they both want to eat the Anoni.
Meanwhile, we also have this creeper dude who's going around. Youth. I want to know youth. Just creeping on everyone.
Well, apparently he's such a studious kid, he's never really had a chance to just cut loose and be a kid.
In all honesty, if I may be so bold, it kind of reminded me of you when we first met.
Ooh. Was I really? Wait, was I running up to you? Tell me about youth.
Well, no.
I want to know what youth is. I want you to show me.
I meant because
I had a stick up my ass?
I guess,
You're not denying.
I guess in a way. But no, you were so, like, proper, and you're like, what is this? It was almost like Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas, the What's This song, when he goes to Christmas Town. Like, what's this?
What's this? There's bakas everywhere. What's this? What's this? She's taking food off my plate. What's this? What's this?
Now it's the norm, but it... And then how, when the episode ended for this young man, and he's like, I am going to take advantage of everything and run into the sunset. And I thought of you because you're so different. It was almost like something like freed you.
Did I run into a sunset?
Probably. I don't know.
Mentally, maybe.
Mentally?
I don't know. Was there a cliff involved? Sunset!
Whoops. But it's a real cliffhanger.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, so this guy was based on the live man. And then then our next episode has Bestial Inu, just causing a ruckus, trying to find food.
And feed others.
Yeah, unlike everyone else who's just eating, he takes over a restaurant, holds everyone hostage, and makes them dinner.
Now,
Once again, this is something that I am like, is this really a bad thing?
well, I mean, he is like the Beastial knows, okay, this guy likes to cook, so he gives people food. I will give people food, and that will be my cover. It's like a vague understanding without any nuance.
Yeah.
And then we have Tsuyoshi is giving this party because everyone's like, "Oh, we're so sorry."
No, that was the next episode.
Oh, no, he got a party to cheer him.
Oh, yes,
because
at the
he
cafe.
leaves, so they start to follow him. He starts to follow
Yes.
Inu. They are following him, following Inu, and they're like 3 feet away from each other, but they're trying to be all sneaky, like Solid Snake. You are not.
Except for Taro. He's just standing out in the open.
He doesn't care.
He's like, I sneak for no one.
Well,
You will witness
if you
me.
think about it, it would be technically a lie.
To sneak is to lie?
In a way, if you think about it, because you're hiding something. And you're not being truthful.
But yeah, then we have Inu who ends up taking the place hostage, and then we had Tsuyoshi saw Miho, so Taro ended up following her.
Yes.
And I loved how Haruka and Saru were all trying to be inconspicuous, like with their hood up and everything outside, like.
But then Inu sees Tsuyoshi, pulls him down, and starts feeding him.
Then
like aggressively feeding.
Then feeds Taru food, and Taru's like, this is terrible.
And the Beastial is just like, I can't please this guy.
Nobody can please this guy.
Except...
I know, we'll get there.
I mean, that might be the greatest shock of all, and believe me, there were some shockers in all this.
But this was a lot of character development because we got to see one of the main characters turn into a Beastial. So we got to see the whole transition. And so we got to learn a little bit more about what Beastials are in a way.
Well, and then we have where Natsumi told Taro, oh yeah, if you bring the person from the Beastial forest back into this world, it makes the Beastial mortal.
Which I don't know necessarily why she decided to share that information.
Well, he is Taro. He's of the clan that made the Beastials.
True.
And it's only the Cerebrans that are seeking to eliminate them.
Well, and the Cerebrans in this episode... Well, it was mainly Sonona who saw Inuzaka and was concerned. So she was trying to figure out things. But I did... was this the episode where Sonoza had to read from a script?
Oh, yes. He, No, I think that was the next one when they introduced the annoying supervisor.
Okay.
But then again, these are so packed a story. I'm not sure.
Oh, you mean? No, it was this one because they were confronting.
Because Sonoy refuses to speak with Taro at this moment, so they're doing this.
Sonoza's trying to read this thing, his like notes,
and he's not a very good reader.
And Sonoy is on the roof, super pissed.
Like that's not what you're supposed to say.
I mean, I would say he's not good at reading, but then he reads all the manga, so maybe he just needs some pictures to go with it.
Maybe.
Maybe you could get Oni's sister to write a manga based on Sonoi's instructions for Sonoza to read.
Yeah, but Sonoza would probably hate it.
But then look at in the next episode, they were doing the phone game.
Oh god.
Where it's got completely skewed with Sonoza telling it to Haruka.
And it meant... maybe next time we should try the telephone game to see who pays for dinner.
It would still end up trying to be you.
Probably.
But this episode was hilarious just because we get to see so much more of the fighting. We get to see Inuzaka become a fugitive again.
And we have, we've got Gogo 5 is the monster from the guy who was in the restaurant. And then we had the episode ends with Inu coming out, somehow being freed from the forest and destroying his Beastial.
Oh, but we also neglect that this was the episode with the first roll call.
Oh.
Well, we also neglected one other thing that I want to speak with first.
Before the roll call?
Before the roll call. So Haruka meets Natsumi.
Yes.
And we find out that Natsumi... Now, it's hard to say if this is Natsumi... Well, if it's more of a hyperized version of the person, Natsumi is actually a very terrible person. Because we find out that she's first training because she wants to be the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, because she's sick of always playing the beauty. Then we see this, fancy car come up, and
first the trainer.
Well, that's why I was talking. So, first a trainer, then we have a fancy car that comes up, and Natsumi is like to Haruka, well, would you like to, why don't you join me? And you first think, okay, Natsumi, Miho's, really nice. No! She is basically taking advantage of every man, because they're at this really, really awesome restaurant. And Haruka's like, are you sure it's okay for me to be here? And Natsumi's like, sure, it's not like I'm paying. Then they're at this fancy store.
With another guy.
With another sugar daddy, so to speak. And once again, Haruka's like, are you sure it's okay to buy all this? It's not like I'm paying. It's a man's job to pay for everything a woman wants. And I'm like, wow. Thank you for taking feminism back 20 steps.
Well, I'm not sure this is Natsumi.
Well,
I think this is the Beastial.
Well, but the reason why I question that is because if you think about, let's talk about Inuzaka. Beastial Inuzaka. Because you had mentioned Inuzaka likes to cook. He likes to feed people. If that is a portion of who he is, and the Beastial basically goes down that route, what does Natsumi actually feel to have the Beastial go down that path?
I think that she enjoys how her the dog brother Tsubasa
Inuzaka.
Well, Inuzaka, I think she likes how he spoils her. And that might be the Beastial is trying to apply that mentality without the love connection.
We do get one comment, I think it was in this episode, I heard, yeah, it was this episode because Taro had asked, well, I heard Tsuyoshi call you Miho.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, Miho is Natsumi's dream.
Which I guess Natsumi's dream is just a loving housewife, or...
Well, that makes
well, no,
me...
no, she works. She works at a salon.
Well, it's still a loving household.
Yeah, but she seems to have that with Inuzaka, so...
Well, maybe not.
This is soap opera of a whole different caliber, so I'm...
Well, it's much better than soap opera.
I don't know, All My Sentai?
Oh, God. I used to watch All My Children, General's Hospital,
Ooh,
Days of Our Lives. This is much, much better.
let's see here.
And sadly, all those shows I just mentioned are still going.
They are?
Yes! Since the 70s!
I thought one of those ended.
Oh, wait. Yes. One of those. I think it was Days of Our Lives. But I think General Hospital and the other one are still going.
Well, either which way, so...
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, while this character assassination is taking place, Rumi comes to check in on our sixth ranger. And how that I can remember Rumi, but I can't remember everyone else. But here's the thing. Rumi, much like Natsumi, is doing a 180. Because when first introduced, Rumi was dismissive, bored, and unfocused with everything. And now suddenly, when she realizes dreams can come true, she's much more attentive, supportive, and kind, and like doing a full 180 until she got on the bus.
Well, she was exhausted.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, she's still there's still that element of her character is like, oh man, that guy is exhausting, and you know she's only been caring for his health. Goodness knows if they take things deeper.
All I know is it made me think of how conventions. You go in, you're all energetic at the convention, and then when the convention's over, you're like, ugh.
Wow. You need like a day or two just to reset.
But no, I liked when she's feeding him because he's sick, and he turns into the other version, and they're arguing over eating the food. He goes back to normal, and she's like, "Are you okay? You looked kind of weird there for a moment."
But yes, we do get our first roll call, which the best part of the roll call is when you get to Inu Brother.
Because it's the Beastial version.
It's the rawr, rawr, rawr. And then you see all this blood dripping down. And then when it goes to all of them together, you have the symbol, and then you have all this blood, and then it starts to get staticky.
And what a waste of a roll call. But and Pheasant Brother, his own roll call is interrupted because he's getting shot at.
Well, I liked how Inu Brother, how the Bestial version, at first he's confused, then he's fighting, and then when he realizes he has a gun and just starts firing at everyone.
Yeah, don't give a crazy person a gun. That's an important thing to know in real life. Do not give a crazy person a gun.
Now, if you could explain that to the NRA, I'd be grateful. I'd be insanely grateful which means I don't want a gun, if you could explain that and get them to understand. That would be great.
Here, this is why you don't give crazy people guns. See this guy here? This little dog dude here? He's got a gun. Now look, he's firing his gun everywhere.
Well, then all it takes is another good guy with a gun to fix it.
Well, clearly Ovalda proved that wrong.
If in case y'all don't know, I'm not a big fan of the NRA. But
fuck the NRA.
So, moving
past this.
Let's talk about upper management.
But yeah, so we've got so a roll call, and then at the end we have the real Inu shows up. I loved how when he's walking, the camera he walks, it's like the camera flips over as he walks past it.
Oh yeah, because you see his underside.
Well, it goes like, and then it just shows him continue walking from behind. That was a really cool shot.
So he kills his
Beastial version.
Beastial version. And that's the end of the episode.
And then we have the next one is the
I'm honestly glad they didn't drag out the Beastial Inu brother.
Ginga Man monster.
I do love the name of this episode. I and Ni and Za and She.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Oh yeah, cause Sonoi.
Is one.
Well, it's Sonona, but Sononi, Sonoza, and Sonoshi. So this is where we play for anyone who is under the age of, let's say, 20. Because I don't know if anybody probably under the age of 25. There was a game that we played when we actually had real phones, not cell phones.
Oh, they still play those occasionally in school.
They still play telephone?
Mm-hmm.
Do they even know what a telephone is? This is not a telephone.
Smartphone.
Right, but
That's a nice telephone.
Okay, so our episode begins with them on the battlefield. 4 of our rangers and our Cerebrum trio. And they're like, we're about to do a roll call. Do you want to know why? Watch the episode to find out, basically.
Instantly, my senses are tingling, or my alarms are going off. It's like, this is another bloody duel episode. They start all the duel episodes the same way. Are they going to have to help Taro do his deliveries again?
Well, that's all I thought of, too.
Oh, Taro, you're late.
But then we get everyone's eating at the
Uden place.
Old Man Gaja from Bokinger's place. And Taro shows up, so they scoot over, and then all of a sudden the Cerebrums are there, and
Sonoi still refuses to talk directly to Taro. And the problem of this telephone game is one specific person.
Yeah, because he tells Sonona something, she tells Sonoza, who then completely changes it to tell Haruka, and then Haruka tells Taro, he's gonna buy me everything here? Dinner?
He's gonna buy me dinner, so I'll take one of everything.
Yeah, so buy him dinner. Basically, it's a continuous fight, but nonetheless, it's the worst game of telephone because Sonoza has no common sense.
Because usually the game you play it with tons of people because that's how it ends up changing, not 3 people down the line.
Well, it's not like Haruka's the brightest bulb either, but we do see, prior to that, we actually see this random dude in a mask who is spying on, we think he's spying on the Donbrothers, but come to find out when he arrives to the udon shop that he's spying on the Cerebrums because he is Sonoshi,
Their supervisor. Or acting supervisor.
Because apparently there's an actual boss.
Which maybe the final villain may not. Although, funny enough, I assumed that this character was spying on the Cerebrums right away.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, I thought he was... So maybe it was just me who was being dense, but...
Oh, by the way, we kind of glossed over Oni sister's stupidity with Natsumi fighting and jumping to the horizon.
Yes.
It's like, wow, that training really worked. How do you function, girl?
Like I said, she is not the brightest bulb.
I mean, her emotional reactions are fantastic.
But apparently she was in a movie once.
And it got canceled.
But I liked how she explained it very quickly.
And in a high-pitched voice.
But nevertheless, with this episode, we then go to...
We find out who Sonoshi is, that he's their acting boss, and tells them, you're being too friendly with these guys. You need to...
Finish it off.
Just get it done with.
But nobody wants to fight. But they don't want to be, like, true enemies of the Donbrothers.
Well, it's like Sonoy does, but he wants it all to be non-personal, direct, and of his own free will.
Yes.
He says in this episode, being told to fight you makes it really hard to get up any energy. But their fear is having to scrub the metaphysical floor for eternity. Although even in that one, Sonoy would not give up.
No. But Sonoy's basically...
But yeah, so they end up having to have this duel. And they're like, okay, well, we need to come up with a plan. Well, he's acting like a Hitotsuki. So we need to turn him into a monster. Let's find someone who is about to turn into a monster.
So he meets with the Donbrothers, and it was Taro who says, I think I have somebody who could work.
I know a guy. You know a guy?
And we all know this guy.
So it cuts to Sonoda and Sonoza staring at the purple ninja dude who's got a monster hanging over him.
Again.
And they're all like, she says, wait, he's still alive?
Third time's the charm.
Fourth time.
Fourth time. Well, there you go.
But yeah, she's like, he's still alive?
He is the most reoccurring non-main character of this show. And so they capture the Hitotsuki. The guy gets knocked down, looks up like, what am I doing? Again.
So then they go...
We'll see if he can make a 5 count.
But then I also love, though, when Sonoshi goes into the Donbrother Cafe and puts a gas mask on and sprays them with like a fire extinguisher.
And then when...
Disinfecting the world.
And then when
Kaito comes in, he's like, Umi? For snow. And I'm like, what? Where? How?
But
now, as you can all tell, we three are each getting over respective illnesses. So
yeah, we go 1, 2, 3.
So the disinfectant scene, I was like, I'm glad none of us treated the other that way.
Yeah.
But I love then how Kaito makes them start cleaning up.
Well, I mean,
and they're all
only
just
fair.
And they're all just like, sorry. But then we have this Sonoshi guy like sprinkles gold dust from his eardrum
to show how pure or clean he is.
So now we get to our battle.
Actually, I'm not sure that's really earwax because his head's shoved so far up his own ass.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I'm not being metaphorical either.
So we get to our battle, and he's like, "Isn't there one missing?"
Oh well. And then, Dragon.
Well, hold on. The best part though, you have to go do your roll call in battle. You have to announce yourself.
And Taro of all beings, here's the thing. Taro is criticizing this manager as being rude.
I know.
And both Grelka and I said pot. We didn't quite get to kettle, but
no, but it was like people in glass houses should not throw stones.
People in glass houses should not be walking around naked either.
Well, that's very true.
Depends on the person.
But
giggity.
So we have them all in like.
Well, if it's a Hemsworth.
So we have our roll call for our trio, which was pretty awesome, and then we have our about to be a roll call for our 4 Rangers when Jiro shows up. He's like, no, you can't do it until I'm here.
And both his personalities do it.
Yeah, both personalities do it. But I like how he interrupts about the end, and Taro's like, well, get on with it then. And so we get this roll call. We still are missing one, because we don't have puppers, as they call them. And so we start fake fighting. And then we do that. Everybody does the trick, gets the Tsuyoshi in the, or not Tsuyoshi. Itsy, whatever the thing is.
Itsy Bitsy Spider?
Yes, Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Alright, so then we have Sonoi and Taro do their move, like are fighting, and Taro pretends to die, but technically actually dies for lying, and they turn Sonoshi into a monster, which is the Ginga Man monster.
And he's screaming revenge at them.
But then Sonoi realizes he can't actually kill him.
Because he can't cut down a comrade. He has, oddly, he like Taro has these ironclad rules.
Yes, and so Taro ends up taking over, finishing everything off, and basically Sonoshi is almost like, I'll get you next time, Gadget, type of mentality.
Your fates are in my hands. But we haven't heard from him since.
No.
And so then our next episode takes us to a food critic, which at first I thought was going to be like a full-on filler episode, but ended up still having story elements to it.
Oh my god, the story.
Actually, oh no, that's next episode.
I know, I so want to talk about the next episode.
Don Killer?
Yes,
Well, okay, so we've got our food critic who ends up not liking food anymore and captures all the chefs that failed her. And we have Black and this chef, Inu and the chef go at it. And I thought we were going to have a rehash of that Kabuto cooking contest episode. I'm like, oh my god, no.
Well, and
no
the
more
reason
cooking
why
contest.
this even happens is because
So Yoshi gets paid for the reward for turning it into something.
apparently after taxes it's not that much.
Apparently not. But okay, Tsuyoshi is really not doing okay.
So yes, Yoshi, the doll.
The doll. Okay. This has been my very limited interaction with the fandom. A lot of people on Twitter, that's almost the death of a sentence right there. A lot of people were saying that they really disliked him for this more aggressive, manipulative. I don't know what they make of the doll, but it's clear this guy's not doing okay.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're not understanding the character development that's going into this dude.
He's actually the most interesting.
He is the most fleshed out, one of the most fleshed out Rangers we've had in years.
Which is kind of ironic because all of the Rangers in this series are fleshed out.
Yeah.
But he's the one who's the most unstable.
Well, I think so. This really goes on into
his mental depression.
The mental health again, because he used Miho as really this
Crutch
and validation, because she loved him for who he was, no matter what he was. And so having that person, and everyone has that one person that, or should have that one person that is kind of like, if they didn't have that person around, they wouldn't know really how to function. It could be a family member, it could be a partner. And it's not necessarily to say it's a very healthy thing, but some people do take it to a very big level. Like, to be very transparent, that's kaiju for me. It's one of those things of, because of so many things I have going on, if I do depend on him significantly, and sometimes I feel like I am putting a lot of weight on you. But Tsuyoshi definitely has a hard time really processing without validation. And I actually appreciate what they're doing, because more so with the pandemic, I think people's mental health and mental stability have taken a very odd trajectory.
Also, it's worth noting that out of all the team, most of them have had their moment of tragedy and are dealing with it. The plagiarism claim, being on the run from the law, whatever the hell the professor's doing. But Inuzaka, or am I?
Inu's
For Tsuyoshi.
Tsuyoshi, he hasn't hit rock bottom until these most recent episodes where he's lost that emotional support, and now he's having to deal with this fresh wound, and that too is part of what makes him so interesting.
And so he turns this porcelain doll, and I have many issues with porcelain dolls. They creep the fuck out of me. But he turns this porcelain doll into his love. And not in a creepy, well, many could consider it
creepy. It is creepy, but it's also basically his protective barrier in a way.
Well,
absolute terror field?
Well, yeah, it's like his coping mechanism.
His shield of safety.
There you go.
That's a fair way of putting it, because he connects with her, and you can see... So, in this episode, Inuzaka was tempted to say, no, I'm not going to go...
Well, he wasn't going to.
He wasn't going to go to dinner, but Tsuyoshi said Miho came back, and Inuzaka knows for a fact that is not the case. And so when he goes to the house to see Miho and sees what happens, you can tell his level of guilt. Because as much as he is so happy to have the love of his life back, the challenge is he had to destroy someone else.
Unintentionally.
And then he's like, okay, you know what, I'll go to dinner with you, but Miho will stay here.
And so it's watching madness, and I think what's so fascinating with it is it's one of the main characters of the show. It's one of the Rangers that's going through this madness.
But yeah, so the villain was Denjimon.
Oh, okay.
Not Mega Ranger. Actually, the number, that serial number on there, is actually the Denjimon and for Denjimon and the air date.
Oh, okay. That I was worried. It was such a circuitry themed monster. I couldn't figure which tech themed Sentai it was.
Yeah, it was. The hard part was because there's Denji Sentai Denjimon or something. Or Denshi Sentai Denjimon, and then Denji Sentai Mega Ranger. And since all the monsters use the name of the actual, the first name, when I saw Den, it was like, okay, it's Denjimon, or Mega Ranger, because Denji.
Oh. But either which way, then we get, after this competition, which probably came down to omelets.
Yeah.
Okay, forgive me, but I find omelets to be a rather simple... But at the same time, I don't want to say they're easy. I have had omelets prepared by really great chefs, whereas mine are... I survived. That's all that matters. So I'm not going to say this easy. It's just that the topic of omelets seems so conceptually simple. I'm surprised that they both chose to go that route.
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that, because when we're exercising at Chris Litch's place, for a while, he was playing a show called Food Wars. And one of the episodes was actually about omelets. Because for some odd reason in Japan, omelets are huge. That's like a very popular dish staple. And
pancakes are a great dessert.
Yeah, very different than America, because pancakes and omelets are usually in the same breakfast meal, depending on the restaurant you go to.
But I would argue that they only use, looking at how thin those omelets were, I'd say they only, use 2 eggs at tops.
Usually it's about 2 to 3, because I actually, this one app, Tasty, shows Japanese omelets. It's usually about 2 to 3 eggs, but it has, but how they cook it is what gives it its ultra fluffiness compared to what I've seen, even of omelets that I have gotten.
Gotcha. And, well, forgive me, we kind of glossed over, the Donbrothers have really terrible table manners.
They have very terrible table manners, and they love to argue with each other. Even during a very kumbaya moment where you have all 6 Rangers together and only 5 of the 6 actually know they're all Rangers together, which it still makes me laugh.
So then we have the episode ends though with them getting fruit from the alternate dimension and making a meal out of it.
Blue fruit, which is a little creepy.
Yeah, you really need to do a taste test, and there's a very strict protocol.
I think it was more that what got me was the blue spaghetti.
Blue spaghetti. Well,
the spaghetti noodles they made out of it.
We've had ink spaghetti.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that gets me there. You are harvesting the pocket dimension in the stomach of a food critic.
Yes.
Who in turn praises the new flavor, which unless they somehow plant these fruits out back first, they can't replicate this ever.
I thought about that, and...
Which means she's going to turn again, and they're going to harvest in her belly again.
Oh, please.
Just to get her... This is going to... It's a vicious cycle. It's just a vicious cycle, but let's talk about Dom Killer.
I was going to say, we need to move on to last episode.
So next episode, we've got first of all, don't push that button. Oh my god, all I thought of was in One Piece when the guy tells Frankie, when you walk in that castle, don't push the giant red button. Frankie going, who would push a giant red button? That's stupid. Obviously you don't push it. Then he walks in the castle like, oh, there's a giant red button.
All I'm thinking of is Ren and Stimpy. The button, the universal erasure button.
Well, I was thinking of the animated movie that we watched where Stephen Colbert played the president.
Oh, Aliens vs. Monsters.
Yes, and he presses that giant red button. And basically, this has been a joke since the 80s with all the movies and cartoons we have watched. You don't press a random button.
But the Donbrothers do it twice.
Well, first of all, they're cleaning the cafe because Kaito's out doing another magazine.
No, doing another photo book.
Yeah.
Which are apparently selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And so they find this safe and they just put in their birthdays and that happens to be the code.
And they first of all, you don't touch someone else's safe. That's etiquette.
Well, that I was like rude, and they all had to get involved. So Jiro was about to leave. They find the safe. They start putting in their birth dates. Tsuyoshi hits enter after doing his,
and it just
sees this, and then Jiro's like, "Oh, it's my turn," and looks at it and presses the button. He is the reason
for the season
that all the buttons in this episode have been pressed. So we then have this button and it says attack because of the kanji, and Kaiju comes back in like, what did you do? And they're all guilty looking. And Jiro just runs. He is like, see ya, I didn't do anything, bye.
I've got to go take care of my adopted dad's birthday. Also, glad to... Well, wait, this was December 4th.
Yes.
Never mind.
But then we have this evil-looking Mamoi show up and just start blowing things up like he's a Dragon Ball Z cyborg.
Well, I was the one who said it. Because I was like, are we in like DBZ Android
he just
Saga?
goes, boom.
Well, he flies like Iron Man.
And then he looks at Momoi, and he opens his mouth, and a beam shoots out.
I'm firing my laser.
And then, but so the Donbrothers get their asses whooped, and then Inu brother is like hiding, and he just and Killer shows up, grabs him by the leg, and boom, 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 boom.
Just like something in Looney Tunes.
Or the Hulk and Loki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt the action flow, but...
No, you're fine.
The design for this Don Killer is basically Taro in drag.
It is. It's kind of like a subtle type of drag because it's very effeminate type of face with the makeup and the painting, which I say effeminate, but I know in Japan, this is very common. So it's drag for us, but men wearing makeup in Japan
so much.
It's not so much, because if you think about it, they have the what's the stage style where all the men kabuki, where they wear very painted faces, and it's all men primarily.
But then we have Saru brother gets attacked, gets grabbed on the leg, boom, boom.
No. Kijino.
Oh yes, Tsuyoshi, that's right. Tsuyoshi gets attacked. And then we see Tsuyoshi in the hospital with cast on both legs, goes in the hospital room, and there's Inu with his legs broken in the bed.
I fell down some stairs. He fell down some stairs.
Basically, what happened for Kijino is right before that, Taro is like, basically, get your affairs in order. You're all dead. What did you think of this? Because I know you love this episode.
I found this hilarious. Now, truth be told, this ties into a question I wanted to ask you on behalf of my family, who...
Yes, I will be there for you forever.
I appreciate that, too. I don't know what your husband thinks of that.
Well, he'll be there for you forever, too.
How you doing? What would you say is the main attraction of a drag show, a drag performance, a TV show based on the process of becoming or dressing as drag? What is the allure of it?
Well, so it's kind of a twofold thing, because one, being a part of the queer culture, so to speak, it's nice to see the representation out there.
Fair enough.
But overall, it's kind of like watching the magic of creativity, of art, because you can see men in dresses, women in different masculine framing clothes anytime. I've seen it since I was a kid, but the allure of like a drag show is their artistic representation of it. It's kind of like seeing a living art form, because when you go to an art museum, everything that you see is very static, because it's generally a painting or a sculpture or whatever type of other artistic representation. But when it comes to drag, you're actually seeing art in motion. Think of like, not to go too much into your real world, but you had mentioned the Monet exhibit.
Yeah.
He went, which if you wanted to share that.
Immersive Monet, fantastic experience. I would recommend it to everyone. It's a pricey ticket, but worth it.
But so you got to see art in being immersive. You got to see art in motion.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what the allure of a drag show is. Now, the reason for watching like an actual reality TV show is you get to see their thought process of like why they do this, why they enjoy it, seeing the transformation from, for some people, from a very masculine presentation of a man into a very feminine personification. Or you can even see the reverse, because there was one drag show I watched where I got to see a woman who was very feminine appearing turn into a man.
Ah.
And so it's watching art in a different form. So that's the reason I enjoy it. Other people may have different perspectives, but I will say that's the allure for me.
Makes sense. And it was certainly to have this effeminate Taro with lipstick and hair and painting, and then to have that almost contrasts the death laser barrage and smackdown that's happening around them. It's almost like a concept of femininity contrasted against mass destruction. So the Powerpuff Girls.
I also love when we have Kaito showing up at the prison. And then we have usually when he's like, "Oh, time's up" and all that stuff. Like when Inu brought him the food the one episode. And this time he's like, "Oh, it's the true hero. What do you need?"
Yeah, he's very differential.
But so to be fair, I didn't think, because he had the makeup on, and I got when we were watching the episode, you're like, "Oh, he's in drag," and I got that. Like for me, I kind of took more of an androgynous perspective, because I actually find a lot of beauty in androgyny, where you have a perfect mixture of male and female, and I'm not going into like that SNL skit where you had Pat.
Oh.
Well,
Pat?
Here comes Pat.
So there was an SNL skit where you had, I can't remember who played Pat.
It was a woman.
I knew it was a woman, but I couldn't remember which actor did. But basically the skit was, every time they saw this character, Pat, because of how they looked and the fact that their name was Pat, which can be either a man or a woman, every skit, which in this day and age is really not as appropriate, it was always trying to figure out, was Pat a man or Pat a woman? Because they definitely had padding where it could be like breasts, but at the same time, there's men out there who are very stocky up top, especially with a little weight, that you can't tell. So in 2022 world, that skit is terrible if you think about it. But it was kind of one of those things of playing with gender.
Well, anyway, so we find out Don Killer has a counterpart called Don Killer Killer.
And we wanted to know if there was a Don Killer Killer Killer.
Followed by a Don Killer 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 Killer.
At that point, that we just hit Don Nuke 'em all. But yeah, the make peace, because that's the most brutally honest, and yet Taro. Okay, but we've got 3 Donbrothers in the hospital after massive Hulk smash.
Saru have broken arms, but then we have the Sonoy is like, "Oh, well, the kid Don Killer won't attack us because we're Cerebrums," but not knowing that Kaito tried to poison the thing with mustard.
Mustard and the banana parfait.
It's going crazy. So then it starts attacking Sonoy, and Sonoy's like, "Retreat! Retreat!"
Promise has been kept!
We kept our promise, let's pretend this never happened. So everybody's running away from this Don Killer. But I found it very touching that Taro looks at the Oni Sisters manga attempts and he says, "This is trash," or rejected.
Yes.
But at first you think, dude, that's maybe her last attempt. I know you can't lie, but you can at least not be a dick. And all of a sudden, he says, "No dying before you get to try again." It was like, oh, that's actually really sweet of him.
I really did like that.
And then we've got, they're fighting, and we have this girl.
Well, Kaiju come in.
No, we have this girlfriend from earlier in the episode who found her boyfriend trying to hit on Sonona.
Sonoi.
No, Sonona.
Oh, Sonona, yes.
And she turned into Jacka, and she's just running around. Somebody noticed me. Somebody noticed me.
I know. I was like, senpai.
So we have Don Killer Killer appears because Jiro in his hometown pressed another button
because he
across.
Found this other button in a little like shrine in his dad's place.
And then Killer Killer, who looks like Saru, comes up. He's red. The one's green, and they're shooting lasers. Like it's just like again Dragon Ball Z, because it's just there's like.
But
And then they fly off, so they take care of the Jacka monster.
The best lines in the episode, though, is when they see Don Killer. And they're like, well, why does he look like Taro? And Taro is like, probably because of aesthetics. And they're like, wow, vain much, and just picking on him. Then we get to where we see Don Killer looking like the professor. And Kijino asks, well, why does he look like you? Probably due to aesthetics. I'm like...
And Kijino's actually, congratulations!
I know! I was like, one is vain, but the other one, it's like, oh, this is cool?
And through the mech battles, we've seen constant squabbling over who's the coolest bird. And
Yes.
why is my view constantly being obscured? Basically, the Donbrothers are the most dysfunctional Sentai.
They are. They are not. There's always this joke of teamwork makes a dream work. Not here.
Okay, speaking of mech battles, I did forget to mention, I loved the Go-Go 5 monster's giant form as the train.
Oh, yeah.
That
The
was
emergency
freaking
guy.
cool. That is like the coolest giant monster since probably Toku.
Even though it is CG?
Oh, the design was just badass.
Okay. But
I was on board for that design.
there you go.
Ha ha.
Well, I hate to derail you, but we've been going for a while. I think we're at the end of the line.
Yes.
But the fact that somewhere out there, the Don Killer and Killer are still engaged in combat, still firing at all ends.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to see them again. If not for the Christmas episode in 2 weeks.
Now, where you may think this episode was just filler.
Hilarious filler.
Dun dun dun! We get story progression.
Penguin.
At the end,
Penguins.
where Jiro is waiting for his dad to come home. You see all these papers all over the room, just like origami sheets everywhere. And then you just see Jiro just working away, and he hears somebody coming home, so he stands up, turns, and runs away, and you see a penguin.
Penguins, I love penguins. They're all squishy and like for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge.
Yep.
Penguins.
And so we're all like, wait, he's the penguin?
Yeah. It's not Kaito? Oh man, that is whack, dog.
Yo, Dizam.
Okay, on that bad 90s slang representation moment, I am leaving.
Don't be hating, y'all.
Don't diss me.
Oh,
Don't
right.
hate the player. Hate the game.
God, help.
No, don't hit the player. The player hit the game.
What? He said it correctly.
I know he said it correctly.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, what did you guys think of these 5 amazingly, very story-driven episodes?
Wow, that's swaying them to say they must have liked it.
Yeah, great episodes are greatest episodes.
What did you think about these episodes? Did you enjoy them as much as we did? Did you not like them? Did you think they were the best of the series? The best of the franchise? Share in your comments below.
Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, anything else YouTube has you clicking on to support me. You can support me on Patreon, Kijino Kami, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Kijino Kami. My website, Creativity by Design, LLC.com. You can also buy cool Kijino Kami the merchandise with the link below, or Creativity by Design, LLC.com/shop. And then we've got
MLP Silver Quill on Twitter, DeviantArt, and YouTube. That'll do it.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, I haven't tried to brand myself across half the internet, apparently.
Okay, well, whatever. Until next time, bye.